So before we have the Pledge of Allegiance, we have the public comments. If anybody has anything to say, they have 3 minutes in which to say.
I'd like to say something. I don't need 3 minutes. I just want to, on behalf of the staff, welcome all the new members of the board and just say simply that the staff is looking forward to working with this new board and, you know, starting afresh and putting our best foot forward.
Well, thank you, Mary. You're welcome. Anyone else?
I have something.
Okay.
Some people know me, some people don't. I'm Mary Duffy, the Assistant Director. And I just want to say welcome also. I look forward to working with you also. I started on reference about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and I went back to school in 2011. I graduated in 2012 with my MLS and became Assistant Director to Marilyn. So that's how I started here, and I just wanted to let you know.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary. Nice to put a name with a face.
Yes, it is.
That's what I figured.
Okay.
Not everybody knows me. So
That's right. That's a good point, Mary. Okay, everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In case you don't know me, other than the flag lady, I'm Carol Bessie, and I am the head of circulation and tech services and automation. And I've been working, I had the pleasure of working with Marilyn for the last 20 years.
Yes.
All right, we have the call to order, and I just want to say that before we get started, we will be going into executive meeting at some point during this meeting, and I think it's best after we have the treasurer's report. So that's something you can look forward to, and people can be prepared who are not on the board to leave at that time, and then you can come back afterwards. And before we get started, also I'd like to make some remarks. First of all, I want everybody to realize that we are here to support the director and the staff. It is one of our responsibilities to hire the director, to evaluate the director, and hopefully never necessary to fire the director. But that is one of our main responsibilities. We hire a CEO, and the CEO is responsible for the library, for taking care of it. Our responsibilities are, as I said, to select, hire, and regularly evaluate the director, exercise fiduciary responsibilities, conduct library business in an open and ethical manner, and to advocate for the library. Those are our main responsibilities as trustees. We leave the running of the library to the director and the staff. And as it says in the trustees handbook, it's all about the library. Our primary job is to provide the highest quality library service possible for our community, not the cheapest. Okay? So I don't know if we have an attendance sheet to hand around or not, but I think, Annmarie, you'll know. You'll record everybody who's here, so.
Whoever's not here, tell me now.
Raise your hand.
And the disposition of the minutes, do we have copies of the minutes?
I emailed them to everybody.
Okay.
She's in charge.
Can we have a motion?
I'm sorry, Liz just let me know that her son is sick and she will not be able to make tonight's meeting.
Okay.
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 All right, so.
Are
And
there
Charlie and
copies for
Diane.
the public?
I'm sorry?
Are there any copies for the public?
Of the minutes? I didn't bring them, I
No.
didn't know to bring copies of the.
You could print them out.
So you want me to just-
Marilyn must be able to print them out now.
Well, everybody,
They needed some corrections because they seem
Well-
to incorporate the annual meeting and the regular meeting. And also,
Well, that, excuse me, Barbara, that shouldn't be a problem. All we have to do is separate them and put them on 2 sheets. That's
no,
not an
but the
issue.
annual one, you said you wanted Sandy to help you with. It's
Yeah.
got the new board, it's supposed to really, it started with the old board, and then it would talk about the elections.
I gave Annmarie Sandy's contact information, so she will get that from her.
And I sent the minutes out, Annmarie sent them out. I sent out a message with the dates that Annmarie sent out the minutes. So if everybody has had a chance to read the minutes, can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I think they need to be corrected before they're approved.
Well,
That's what I'm
Barbara,
saying.
if you have corrections, you should have sent them into
Well, I'm telling, I
Annmarie.
thought she would be confused, so that's why because there's 2 separate things going on there. I think you know what I'm talking about. Also, with when you go into executive session, only the motions are supposed to be listed, not the actual, details on the executive session. That's the purpose of an executive session, and she's new, so, it's not her fault, but you should know that too, to have helped.
I don't have a problem with it, Barbara, to tell you
Well, I don't
the
see them
truth,
as regular
because
minutes, so I don't know about everybody else.
they can be easily corrected. All she has to do is take the annual minutes and put them on another sheet.
Just tell me what's annual and what's not, and
Well,
I'll
when we
correct
started
it.
you started the regular
Right,
meeting, if you
exactly.
read back what you did, it was it's only the regular meeting
Oh, so-
that we're correcting now. The other one waits until next year at the annual meeting.
Barbara, if you had these issues, I think you should have.
It's not issues, I'm just
Well,
telling you
okay,
about them.
then I'm asking
know
if
that.
anybody would like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
But you can't approve it till they're corrected.
Well, you can approve them with changes.
Pending
I'll make a
correction.
motion to approve the minutes with the suggested corrections.
That's it.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
So it was unanimous?
Abstention.
You abstained? Okay, give me a second.
Okay. Do we have any correspondence?
Yes.
Who made the motion? You did, Denise?
Denise.
Sorry.
I think Casey seconded.
May I make another comment? You had said something out about committees, and I think that's why we didn't see it at first, the minutes, because you didn't have everybody's database, so you just used the same thing. So the subject matter said committees, it didn't say minutes. Just for future.
Okay.
Okay.
But I sent you an email where I showed you the date on which.
Later, that's when
Yeah.
I first saw it,
Uh-huh.
but she had sent it out twice before, because I think
Okay.
Diane
we-
corrected somebody's name or something.
Could we not
Okay.
do this
No,
because
just
we're
doing it so-
trying to
yeah,
move the
but it's
meeting
just
along?
corrected for the
Do you
future,
have
that's all.
correspondence?
I do.
Okay.
I do. If you remember at the last meeting, we had a suggestion from a patron to be able to give parking passes to people who would be in needed parking during their children's programming. So I had written a letter, or actually they asked me for an email, so I did it the way they wanted. And they had a meeting, and I will read you their response. Dear Ms. McIntosh, metered parking passes. At the April 18th, 2017 Board of Trustees meeting, the Village Board, the board denied your proposal to issue metered parking passes to patrons who are participating in library programs for younger children. The board feels there is ample non-metered parking available along Mill Pond Parkway for the patrons to utilize. Sincerely, James Purcell. So I called Jimmy today and I said, well, that's kind of not so nice. And he agreed, and he said that I should go back, and this time I'll personally go to the meeting. I just can't get there till the July meeting. So in July, I'll be going to the village board meeting and explaining what this is, and they're saying there's plenty, I don't know, he said there's just plenty of parking. He agreed with me. He was uncomfortable with this decision. So I'm gonna go back at it again. And see if I
I'll go
can't
with
get
you if
that.
I can, I'll
Yeah,
go
it'll
with
be
you
the
also.
July village board meeting. Because I didn't think that was an outrageous thing to ask.
No, I didn't either.
Last time it was such a turmoil in the meeting that I didn't get to read the We Care What You Think cards, and they're really kind of fun a lot of the times, and people put their time into this. The night of Irish music was terrific. M. Freebell. Parking idea, and this is where I got this thing. See if the village will allow the library to issue metered parking passes for library goers who participate in programs for young children. Stickers with dates on them so you can park in metered parking without paying. It would expand library parking. The musicians that played Irish music were really, really good. I have Irish musicians in my family who are good, but the group that played here were really excellent. Thanks. Oh, Kathy Hilliard. She used to be on the board here. I loved the book discussion on Ireland. It was fun, informative, tasty, Irish soda bread, yum, and Mr. Kelly was a treasure of Ireland history. Keep up the great work, Janet Barth. The library has this is a child. The library has a lot of juicy books. I like Miss Diane. I also like the videos. Keep up the good work, from Annette, and I don't understand the last name. To whom it may concern, I was disappointed to see the library open on a bank holiday. Remember, this is going back, and I'm not sure what bank holiday. People need time off to spend with friends and families, driving during holidays. Sincerely, John Daly Patton. Why does the Monroe Library have a board when it never seems to meet? No signature. In the quiet area, perhaps signs on each table would let patrons know that they should not converse. Thank you. Today, 1:13, so two people were working on a laptop and talking throughout. No signature. I love your book discussion groups. I hope they continue. No signature. Monroe Library is one of the best in Orange County. There is a wide and current choice of books as well as other items. The programs presented are for all age groups. The atmosphere is warm and comfortable. The staff is friendly and extremely helpful. I always believe the atmosphere is determined by the person in charge. I didn't ask this. I believe Marilyn McIntosh provides that support. Kudos also to the board for providing support. No signature. These are brand new. The CD music selection on classic rock pop music is the best available in the area. J. Wavell. And this is from Michelle Dixler, a patron who's here all the time. Number 1. Could the library receipt print out in due date order? My answer, yes, it can, and we do that for her and for anybody who asks, but it's not going to be a default, and that's what she's asking, because I called Jerry Kuntz today, and it is not able to be a default. And that's the same answer for number 2, which is, can it list all items checked out? Yes, when somebody requests that, we do that, but that's not going to be a default, and I asked Jerry Kuntz, who is our tech services guy up at RCLS, and he said, no, those are not defaults. So that's
And if I might, the reason they're not defaults is because printing
By the way,
out,
this is Robert Hupsher, he's the director of the system. And
printing out everything that somebody has can be a very long list, and most people don't want it. And so creating it as a default would mean you're wasting a lot of receipt paper for things that people don't want, and not everybody wants their thing in order of return. So, it's personal preference, and when we were setting up the system, we talked to the staff, and the default is what we set up because it met most needs.
Right, and we do that for people if they ask, so it's not like we won't or can't. We do, but just not all the time. And that was it for correspondence.
Okay, and the director's report is next.
Okay.
This is you, Marilyn.
Alrighty. I usually don't talk too much about programming because you can read that for yourself and there's a lot of it. But I just wanted to point out that this month's Artist of the Month is Hannah Johnson, and her sister Sarah used to work here. So, and I do some art myself, and I started my artwork with something called quilling. And you rarely see that. People do quilling, and Hannah does quilling. And so there's some on the board, so I was kind of excited when I saw her doing that art. It's French, and it's old, and she does a nice job. You received my report so you can read for yourself, but this is interesting, I thought. Hannah uses her art to express messages that are of importance to her, such as religious freedom, empowerment of women, and the importance of coexisting. So she's an up-and-coming young lady. The rest is, this page is programming. Okay, Joanne held her community yard sale. Thank you for anybody who attended that, whoever you are.
Casey,
I
did you
was
make it
gone.
done?
I wasn't able to, unfortunately.
You offered though, that counts.
I went to it.
And Donna went, and I think the LeViseurs went.
They did, yeah, they were there.
They did.
Yep, and her profit is $816. And what we're doing with that this year is purchasing tablets for the children and teen department. And one of the goals for the teen population is to teach coding to the teens. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Okay. Most of you probably, hopefully all of you know that if we don't have a book here, we get it for you from another library, and that library is generally speaking in this system. But there are times when somebody needs material outside of this system, and we do that through a program called SEAL. SEAL stands for Southeastern Access to Libraries. And Southeastern, in my mind, Rob might correct me, Southeastern is to systems as system is to us. It serves a number of like hospital libraries, academic libraries, so that you're reaching outside of the Ramapo-Catskill library system. And it used to be done a certain way, and now they've changed that way. So I went over to Wallkill Library and received training from somebody from Southeastern. And now I'm going to have to remember, because then the next day I went on vacation, I will have to train the reference staff on how to do a request, how to receive a request, how to return a request. So that's what we did there.
Is that like the Mid-Hudson Library is part
Yes.
of that?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that would be one.
Westchester?
Yep,
Okay,
could be, I don't know,
right?
California
The other,
maybe.
the other RCLSs that aren't an RCLS.
SEAL now includes most of the academic libraries in our region and throughout the state, and there has been a pilot project on a statewide delivery service from basically from the academic libraries called Empire Library Delivery, ELD. And so the pilot's just about ending. It looks like we're going to continue with. In these 8 months of the pilot program, we had about 150 to 160 items borrowed from academic libraries all over the state. So this is separate from the delivery service that RCLS provides between libraries, and RCLS also crosses delivery with Mid-Hudson. So,
Right.
Oh, it does.
so at the
Right.
it's the Plattekill Library. We have a depot at the Plattekill Library, which is a Mid-Hudson library, but it's on one of our routes. And so twice a week, our van goes to Plattekill, leaves boxes there that are going to Mid-Hudson, whether they're returns or things Mid-Hudson libraries have borrowed, and picks up the boxes from Mid-Hudson libraries. For us, they could be new items or returns. So we do that between the Mid-Hudson libraries. ELD is now a statewide delivery service that we have to pay for, so there's a fee structure that RCLS is picking up at this point, and to allow for academic type materials. And so it's very exciting, because we expect that there will be, I mean, each year we do some of this, but in the past we've only been able to get stuff from Vassar and SUNY New Paltz, because those were the only two academics that participated in the Mid-Hudson RCLS delivery service. Now with ELD, it's broadened the scope, and if you go into SEAL, you can see the academic library holdings. The one thing about SEAL you should understand is it's not patron initiated, it's staff
Right,
initiated.
that's why I have to train the reference staff,
And-
because if they're looking at an RCLS catalog and they don't see it, they then can say, well, let me check SEAL and see if I can get it from outside.
And one of the reasons we've decided not to make it available directly to the public, this is a decision that Mid-Hudson and RCLS made together, working with, I happen to be on the Southeastern board as well. And the reason we did that is we were concerned from data we gathered that patrons wouldn't necessarily look within the system. It's a lot more cost effective to
Right.
find items within our
Firstly
system
in
and
the
have our
system,
delivery.
and that's
It's also
secondary,
faster
right.
than going out, and we were concerned. And there are also limits to what can be ordered through Seal, because we are not looking for bestsellers, or we're
We
looking
have
for
those.
things, because that's all within the system.
we
What
have
we're really looking for are materials that are not available here, or uniquely available through a particular library.
Now, Robert, that includes the school library systems also, doesn't it?
It does, but most of the schools don't participate.
Which
So-
is interesting, because I used to get books for my kids from West Point, and I once had somebody request a magazine article from my library, somebody from the Midwest, through interlibrary loan.
Yeah, well, that's I'm glad you brought that up, because we also do out-of-state stuff. So there's 3 levels of interlibrary loan, well, multiple levels. There's within the system, we call that EILL, because you just do it yourself. You go in the catalog, it's there, you place a hold. Then there's Seal, which we could get stuff from Mid-Hudson and from academic libraries. And then there's the state library. Each of our libraries has an account with the state library, and they can go to New York State Library and get materials that are at the state library, and there are things that are there that are uniquely there and not elsewhere. And then the fourth one is some, it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's OCLC. It used to be the Ohio Consortium, but OCLC is now not-for-profit corporation that's worldwide, and we can order through OCLC, RCLS can. So if we get a request from a member library saying, we can't find this within the state, we can't find it at state library, can you find this item for us? We go into the OCLC catalog, and we could order something from any library in the country. And
Sometimes
it
there's a
gets
cost to
There's
that,
sometimes
and
a
sometimes
cost.
the cost has to be borne by the person requesting the book,
That's right.
so they have to say yes to that.
Which they usually do.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so,
they really want
They
it,
have a
they
patron who
will.
does it, yes.
Pay for it.
to be completely open, some libraries subsidize that cost, some libraries choose not to. It depends on the library's budgets. So some libraries will cover the cost, others don't. But there is a cost, because it's not only the cost of borrowing, but also returning the item, because
To mail
they'll
it
ship
back.
it to you, but
Right.
then you have to mail it
Mail
back
it
to
back.
them.
Right.
On the e-books, I belong also to the New York Public Library, because they have a huge
Yeah.
Yes,
amount, and
anybody
that
can.
works
And
much
anybody,
quicker.
and
That's
anybody
easy.
in the state can
Can
get
belong,
a New
yes.
York Public Library
Yes.
card.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Okay,
Alrighty, moving on, as we have done for the last 2 years, this is our third. 3 years ago, a young man, Zach Woods, you might know his mother, she was on the board, of the town board. Lori Currier Woods, she's currently a family court judge. I think it's her youngest son was killed, and it was a tragic death, and they needed a lot of blood for him, and so that meant a lot to her. So she approached us about holding a blood drive, and I've never lost anybody who needed blood, but giving blood is also something that is near dear to my heart. So we kind of collaborated, and every year we do a blood drive in memory of Zach, and we get a lot.
When is that?
That's going to be on May 20th.
I saw the sign up was on the website. It recommended that we do reserve this.
It is, but you can walk in too, and I think we have, 3 or 4 buses. I mean, they give us a lot of buses, well, because we get a lot of pints of blood. We move a lot of people through. All right, we're gonna do let me skip the tax cap until the very last thing, okay? All right. This has been in my report for a little bit. It was in last month, but we didn't get anywhere with it. The former trustee, Paulette Brown, had researched the idea of putting a flagpole in the spot. If you look at the side of the library by the driveway, there are 2 parking spots. One is handicapped, one is not. But people began to park even beyond the parking spot where there were rocks, and they were starting to depress that area. So the board talked about it and thought it would be a good idea to put an American flag there on a pole, and Paulette researched that, and it was, I think I have her email here. It was less than $800 for a 20-foot pole, and the rep felt that, when she talked to the rep, she felt that he felt that the 20-foot pole size would be best, and that it should be illuminated from a solar illumination, which added $90 to it. So that's going to be something for building and grounds to
did
talk
we,
about. and
did we
decide.
already move to do this? I
No,
thought we had, we
didn't.
hadn't, huh?
We didn't vote actually to do it. So
Well-
that's something that you're going to want to talk about maybe in Building and Grounds Committee, when that committee meets, that's one of the things they should bring back to the
Okay,
table.
should we make a motion now so we
can.
can move that forward?
can.
Would anybody like to make a motion
The
to,
only question I have about it, and
Yeah.
by no means am I against,
Sure.
you know, putting up a
Sure.
flagpole, it's got nothing to do with that. I know that there are certain regulations with regard to when the flag has to be moved, has to be taken down, whether it's at night, whether it's, you know, in rain or any weather.
We can give you that information about it. During the daytime is fine.
Mhm.
At night time, whether you take the flag down and fold it properly,
Mhm.
or it has to be illuminated.
Okay, so if it's illuminated,
So
then you can
the
say.
solar panel that goes with the
That's the
flag
purpose of
on
the
top
illumination.
is connected to a battery system that charges the battery during the day. And then at night time, those batteries keep the flag illuminated.
I guess
However,
we'd have
one
to-
thing you should
oh,
be
sorry.
considered, because at times that there is a cloudy day
Yes.
and the batteries may not get charged, you should have the option to plug in. A power line has to be dropped.
That would
down
add a
there.
cost, I think.
Yeah,
We do
that-
have
that would add
electricity
to
out
the
to
cost.
there.
And that's why I was
You'd
bringing
have
it
to
up,
do
because
it,
I just
though.
wanted to make sure we
I
were.
would
Yeah,
just
it's a lot
suggest
on
that, I
solar.
think you should bring power to it, and
Yeah.
it should have an automatic
There is
switch
some
over.
power out there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, the light should have power to it as a fallback, so that if the battery's not charged, it automatically goes to electricity, and it bypasses electricity, because that could be set up. Yes, it would add a cost, but if you don't do that,
Yeah.
you may be actually breaking the law by having
Right.
it
Because we have to be aware of when it should be at half-mast. There are times when it would have to be at half-mast, but we'd have to schedule that in, find those
And
times
that
out.
was gonna be my other comment,
Yeah.
was making sure that there was a resource available to not only be in charge of that,
Right.
but also if there's inclement weather or anything else that would require the flag to be taken
The
down.
half-mast is only when
There's state,
some state or presidential order comes in.
Okay.
For particular reason, the flag goes half-mast, such as soldiers that lost their lives in combat field. At times, flags are half-mast.
Memorial Day, Labor Day, I'm assuming it goes half-mast, or no?
No, only by presidential order, or the governor, or for any particular reason that the order comes, such as a state trooper that got killed in line of duty. Well, you saw the state police barrack, the flag was half-mast, and at times the state follows and other locations follow that.
there is
So-
a, there
Other
is a
than
federal
that, you
government.
do never have the flag half-mast for any reason. And anybody can bring the flag down. The point is that at the end, you need two people to hold it because it has to be folded in a particular way.
On the federal government,
Fold it and go like
They're
that.
trying, so.
on the federal government website, there's a booklet that you can download, which lays out all of the laws and regulations related to flag, and I recommend that you get that and make sure that you're abiding by it.
I would say then that we should probably table this until the Building and Grounds Committee can look at it and determine the price of bringing electricity to the spot. Is everybody in agreement that we should do that? No problems? Okay.
So that's a B&G issue.
I'm by no means against it, by any means. I
Right,
think
no,
it's a
no, I
great
understand,
idea.
it was a
I just
good
wanna make
point, it
sure
was a
we're
good thing you
factoring all
brought
the
it up,
costs.
Casey, because I wouldn't have thought of.
The flag itself is one issue which I think everybody has agreed to that. One is that would it stop people there? That one I doubt because some of the small cars still can fit in there and they back up and hopefully they don't break it.
Yeah, that's a concern as well.
So in addition to the flag, other remedies must be considered to stop anybody approaching that one, such as shrub. So when they see the bush, they don't back their cars so they know it doesn't fit.
Potentially, maybe you can, you know, and again, this may be for buildings and grounds, but maybe it might not be a bad idea to see whether, you know, one of the local gardening groups or landscaping organizations can donate some sort of a bush or something, you know, to dress up the new
Well, we
flagpole
do
as
have
well.
the Monroe Woodbury Garden Club is involved with us, and they're the ones that got the, you'll see in the spring and the summer and the fall, there's like planters along the side, and they plant them. We've gotten them to do that, so I guess I could ask for some shrubs around.
Potentially, because
the
it'll
flag.
make the
Or
flag
we'll
even
buy the
nicer.
shrubs and
Or
put
a
them
local
in.
veterans group, that's something that a local veterans
Yeah,
group
true.
might easily take on as a project,
That can
because
do
it's
the,
something that
That's
veterans.
true, that Jerry Osmer,
Power line. Power line to that, I can do the engineering part of it to design and
That would
stand
absolutely
it.
save us some
Well,
money as
that
well.
one would be free of charge.
Thank you.
okay.
I mean, is it that you want a flag there? Because you could just put bushes there. I
No, we
mean, you
want-
could
yeah.
bypass the whole flag idea.
We
You
thought-
want the flag.
Yeah, we thought it was a good idea.
There was suggestions that they can put flags on the windows. Big, huge flag where you, and you don't have to bring it down because at night it's illuminated. The
I
point
don't
was
like
that
that.
the
No.
flagpole
Why would you
was
want
the
that?
purpose
Hide your windows
of
and.
Right.
stopping the
Right.
cars parking it up.
No, no.
I think the consensus was that we
Flag
want the
pole.
flag, am I right? And,
Yeah.
but we just need to explore a little more of the expense and how we're gonna, yeah.
Okay, my other building and grounds, we have contracted with Best Mechanical to come in on a periodic basis, and they will be in on the week of May 15th to perform our AC checkup. They would have been in before, but the weather has kept them from that. Grants. I called, how did it start? I had heard in January that it would take a couple of months for the Division of Budget to finish up and to say yes to our $50,000 at the time that I would get this grants reimbursement agreement form. So, we're having this meeting tonight, and I thought, well, what the heck? I haven't gotten this form yet, and that was way back in January, and it's February, March, now it's April, now it's May. So I called Larkin's office, and I spoke with someone up in New York State government, on his team, Jennifer Downs. And she said, yes, they had gotten this list on April 20th, that they did approve of this grant, and that it was going to DASNY, and they should have it already, and we should be getting this form. So I called DASNY, and she was acting like no, we didn't get it. So I called Jennifer back, and apparently this whole thing just takes forever to do. But we are done. It was approved by the Division of Budget, so we made it to that step. She said within 2 days it should be over in DASNY, which is the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York. If in 3 weeks I don't have that form, I'm to call Jennifer Downs again in Larkin's office, and they'll help to move that along. Because once I fill out that form, and it comes in overnight mail, we get that $50,000. So that's a long time coming. And
Don't hold your breath. No, I'm serious.
I've held my breath 2 years.
Sometimes it could take
Forget it,
12 to
forget it.
16 months to, we've seen that happen, so I'm just,
It's already 2 years.
if it happens sooner, be happy.
Whatever we put it to, it's our choice, correct?
Well,
Correct.
They have not put any conditions on it? For
No.
what purpose?
No, and in fact, as far as I'm concerned, we had, over the years, collected operating money that was used over and above what we needed for projects such as the one that we did. And we did use a lot of that money, that operating money, to do this expansion. So to me, that should go back into operating and be reimbursed for the money that operating laid out to. That's just my suggestion, just throwing it out there. And that's it for me. Okay.
And now we have to do the tax cap.
Oh, the tax cap, thank you. All right.
Okay.
So you all got my report, and in my report is the language that you need to override the tax cap. Does anybody have any questions as to why we need to override the tax cap?
I actually do not have the,
You don't have my report?
It was in the
it was
email.
an email, the email I saw, I just didn't have it.
Okay, okay.
There's
All
printed
right.
copies from it.
So you all understand why we have to override the tax cap?
Do you want me to read the language? I have it in front of me. Whereas the adoption of the 2018 budget for the Monroe Free Library may require a tax levy increase that exceeds the tax cap imposed by state law as outlined in General Municipal Law Section 3-C adopted in 2011, and whereas General Municipal Law Section 3C expressly permits the library board to override the tax levy limit by a resolution approved by a vote of 60% of qualified board members, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Monroe Free Library voted and approved to exceed the tax cap levy limit for 2018 by at least the 60% of the Board of Trustees as required by state law on January 11th, 2016. Do you think we should wait until we have the full board here before we do that?
You could do that.
Yeah, maybe we'll wait
can put
until
that off.
Diane
There's no
and
rush.
Is the date, is it, the
When
date
is it?
2016?
That was when that law went into effect.
Oh, I thought it's when we, I thought that was when we had that meeting, the last board.
No.
The
Annual
only
meeting.
requirement of the tax cap override resolution is that it be done prior to your budget being approved.
Right.
So as long as that,
Okay.
it has to be done before. And if it turns out that you don't override the tax cap, you don't go above the tax cap, then you will have to have a resolution to remove the override resolution.
Right.
The reason you
Which we
do
did
the
last year,
the reason
because
you
we
do-
didn't go for an increase
Yeah,
last year.
Right.
the reason you do the override is because because you don't know what the tax cap's going to be, because you can only find out when, 3 to 4 months ahead of when your budget vote happens. The recommendation from legal advice we got is that every library override it, just in case, and then, if in fact you do end up going above the tax cap, you're covered. If you don't, before you actually fill out your tax cap documentation on the controller's website, before your director does that, you would have to undo the resolution so that you can fill out the proper forms.
Okay, so we should hold off on it, I think, until we have Diane and Charlie here. Since we need 60%,
Keep that open.
everybody should have the right to vote on it.
Yes.
Okay, so, treasurer's report would be you, Casey, but if there's any budget in there, we're gonna wait on it until after everybody's here. But if you have other things you wanna discuss about the budget, we won't vote on it.
Sure. I mean, for the most part, I don't have that much to report out on. In the past month, we've spent some time just getting signatory cards changed over, going and meeting with the banks. I've had a couple of conversations with Marilyn. I'm looking forward to meeting with Maria and Marilyn together, along with Pat and anyone else from the finance committee, once the finance committee is put together, to kind of better understand the controls that are in place and the processes as they stand right now. Mary, please, by all means, join us. By all means. I think that, I have some goals over the coming, periods, however long I'm able to hold the position for, regarding, taking a look at the existing controls that we have here today, both from an operating and from a financial perspective, figuring out where we can strengthen them, figure out where we can loosen them a little bit in order to ease some of the tensions of the operation. It's a good thing to make sure that you have good, strong financial controls in place, but at the same time, you want to make sure that the controls that are in place are not creating undue burden on the operation. And at times, while it's great to have controls, if they're not mitigating a certain risk, it's okay to ease up on them a little bit. So I know one of the areas that we'll be discussing later, and I'm not bringing it up to vote on now, is increasing the threshold of 2 signatures as a requirement from 2,500 to 3,500. So these are just some of the things that we've been discussing, and that's why I just wanted to frame it up in this perspective here. I did take some time to speak with Marilyn about the budget. What I can say is, obviously it'd be a great thing if everyone had the opportunity to get into the meats and bounds of it and understand all the workings. From a high level, there's nothing that seems, outrageous or, undue. I think everything is pretty much a conservative approach. So everything looks pretty good to me. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, very good.
I think we decided on an auditor based on that email. We're just
Yes,
gonna
we're
move
gonna
ahead
vote on that. Do I have that down there, the auditor? No, and I forgot to bring you that information again, but everybody had done their homework on that previously, and I think the previous board was in favor of the auditor, and it was somebody that we had worked with before.
And I've taken a look at the last few audit reports, so,
Yeah,
it seems
I
like
can't
they're done by
remember their
competent
name.
auditors.
Do you remember the name?
RBT? RBT?
That's the new conglomerate of a few
Yeah.
firms in the
The
area.
one we used to have was Donna Deming.
Okay, so we could, I think we could entertain a motion on that right now.
Say it. Motion for.
Who's making a motion? Anybody wanna make a motion?
Make a
or-
motion to go ahead with the previous board's recommendation of contracting RBT as the annual auditor.
Do we have a second?
I believe Denise Williamson was supposed to be the contact person, did you say, instead of Tom Craven, or did you not?
Yes.
It was on the back, that sheet I gave you the last time. I think it's on the back of one of your sheets that I gave you today.
What you just gave me here?
Yeah, but we
It's on
understood
the
that
back,
she was
there's a
supposed to
chart,
be the
so that will give
contact.
you help
Isn't
for the
that
writing the
right?
name. It's on the back of the audit
Yes.
one. The one that says Tom, I
Tom
think we,
Craven.
yeah, and I think it's in the comments.
Tom Craven, VC.
That we were going to go back to him? Does it not say so?
It says
This
here,
company went into this company and she had worked for us before.
Denise Williamson. In the comments, it says President Kathy Demos reached out to Tom, I think Craven,
Right.
on behalf of the EC and audit committees to request their services, subject to his acceptance and MFL board ratification April 17th, 2017.
Right, and then there was a discussion April 17th, and for some reason I remember, I don't know if Kathy had said it, that Denise Williamson was going to be the point person?
Yes, the proposal that we got originally had two people that were going to be primaries. They switched the primary auditor to be Denise because she now has gotten into the auditing department and
And she's
Tom
aware of
Craven
how our
knew
books
that-
are, because she was our
accountant.
accountant in the beginning.
Yeah, she helped organize our.
So she knows our way of
When you say in the
working.
beginning, you mean
Like
dating
we
back a
we
few
called her
years.
in about 2 or 3 years ago,
During the build out.
When we were in the
and she has helped set up the books with
we had
Maria,
That's
who's
great.
our
I just
bookkeeper.
wanted to make
In
sure
other words,
from a
she's
timing
aware of how
perspective.
she knows us.
Okay.
So
We
it's a help.
advertised it, we
Perfect.
got her
Yeah.
to
What I would
assist and
caution
organize
though
our
is
books.
if you contract with a firm, you can't guarantee who is going to be your lead auditor because the firm is going to do the appointing.
I think that's why they had the
They
conversation
have done
first.
that.
I know, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't hold my breath on that one because it depends on what they're doing and what their schedule is. I mean, you may prefer her, but you may not end up with her. She, I mean, we've been with the same auditor for about 15 years, and we periodically review at RCLS, and we've seen the people who actually do the work changing regularly. One of the partners reviews all the work, and the ultimate document comes from a partner.
Right.
So I'm
And
just
that partner
cautious.
should be
But
changing
that would
every
be
5
okay,
years.
right?
And it might
Sure.
be,
It
yes.
doesn't matter who the
No.
person is, does it?
No.
Does
Every
anything?
day, no.
No, they've all got to be good, otherwise they shouldn't be working there. So do we have a second for the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Barbara seconded it. All those in favor? Any opposition? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously.
This may not be the proper time, but I just wanted to ask you something, or mention something to you. When you talked about committees, you had mentioned that Casey would be obviously the chair of finance because he's our treasurer. But it was recommended by Donnelly, I believe, that the chair of audit cannot be the same person as the chair of finance, so that they're the person that chairs the audit committee could be a liaison on finance, and Casey could be a liaison on audit, but they should have two separate chairpersons
And
for
I'm fine with
transparency
that.
and interaction.
Even at JetBlue, we do
I
that.
just wanted to bring it to your attention,
The audit
because it was
committee is separate
noticed
and distinct from
by
the
our
executive.
past auditor not to do it.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
I have a question on the reports.
Sure.
When you do, what I'd like to see at some point is budget and where we are within the
Okay.
budget, like
Sure.
percentage-wise, just to get an overview, because
Absolutely, budget to actual is a valuable metric to take a
Well,
look
I
at.
think isn't that part of the net?
Usually, the bookkeeper provides what's called a cash budget report. I don't think she has been doing that, but she does produce one. She produces 2 reports, cash budget and net worth. Net worth shows you your whole, each account, but the cash budget
Right.
is actually exactly what you are asking.
but I don't remember seeing percentage of budget.
I don't think you
I
did.
don't
And
think
we
it
have to,
might have
we have to
been.
go back to November, we haven't approved the net report since November.
Right.
So we have to do November, December, I think it was tabled in November
wanna
if
see
you look at the minutes. So it's November,
Probably
December,
just
January,
like
February, March,
February.
April.
Simple. It's a
column.
I was gonna suggest, because you use QuickBooks, that you may want to give Stephen Hofer a call, who's our fiscal officer. Stephen has gone out and he's a QuickBook expert, and he has gone out to several of our libraries and worked with the person who does the QuickBooks and helped them to
that's
fashion
great.
your report and get the kind of report that you might want. And so he's willing to do that. All you have to do is give him a call and he'll set up a time to come out, and, you know, your treasurer could be there, the director, whoever, you know, you want, but he has done this, I'd say he's done about 7 or 8, he's worked with about 7 or 8 different libraries.
Because I think as long as you input them into, there should be a partition within QuickBooks to that effect, that you can input what your, let alone generate reports, you can input what your operating budget is, so that it'll automatically create it as a static column, and then do a dollar for dollar variance and then percentage variance as well.
Right.
Yeah, this was just this is what you handed out last week that had this.
Yes, right.
This is the.
That's the cash budget report. Now, that might not have it as a percentage, but it'll show
It is a-
you where it is,
It does.
year to date.
Oh, it does.
Oh, it does. It
Yeah.
has it. So, ta-da.
I don't remember seeing this.
They were handed them out
It was handed out as a
last
big
week,
bunch
last
of,
time.
yeah. She usually always does that.
Thank you.
But that, yeah.
Yeah, and then
So
there was
I'll
one
have her
for
produce
2017
one of those
year
for
to
each
date.
month.
And we decided that we'd give Casey a chance to look over the financials before we brought them to the table for approval, because he really hasn't had a chance to look things over, and it just makes sense, in my estimation, that he have that opportunity.
Oh, sure.
I appreciate it.
We're gonna go into executive session now. We've had the treasurer's report, and after executive session, then we will come back and do the committee reports. So,
As we move into executive session, this is just,
we need a vote to move into executive session,
you
is
do.
that correct?
Yes.
Can I have
Make a motion.
Denise Harris makes a motion, and Casey seconds to go into executive session.
And what
You
is
should
the
record the
purpose?
Pardon?
What is the purpose?
Personnel.
You need to record the time you went into executive session, and when you come out of executive session, you
Yes.
should, in the public meeting, have a motion to end executive session and record the time as well. And if you don't mind, I won't come back after executive session.
We're going into committee reports now, and I didn't hear anything.
Excuse me, Pat, don't we have to adjourn the executive session with
Oh,
everybody in the room?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm a rookie at this.
I am too, but I heard that somewhere.
So we adjourned executive session, and Annmarie, do you want to make the motion?
To adjourn executive session?
No.
To return to general meeting?
Yes.
I make the motion. yes.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah.
Who said second?
Okay. And then we have to have a motion to accept the decision that was made in executive session, am I correct?
The motion is to accept the personnel salary increases for department heads retroactive to 1/1/17.
Okay, all those in, can we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, Donna seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. Thank you for the assist, Terry. We're going into the committee reports now, and I didn't hear anything from either Denise, Barbara, or Hormoz about what committees they wanted to be on. Denise, I put you on audit and grants because you've been on grants before.
I can do that.
And maybe you can be the chair of audit since Casey cannot be chair of both.
That looks like a
I'm just thinking about the time commitment seriously. But I will get back to you on that one.
Okay. All right, Hormoz, I put you on building and grounds and grants. And Barbara on long-range planning and nominating.
I don't mind that, I was gonna ask for library operating, but who's on library operating?
We already have 3 people there, so,
Oh, okay.
and we didn't
So what
have,
am I on?
long-range planning and nominating.
Okay. And just I mean, it's now that, Paulette is no longer with us, but normally nominating, I think on our bylaws, that changes, chairpersons in October normally.
October.
So, but we'll do it now, obviously. But we can re-approach it in October.
Okay, so, moving right along.
Building and ground, what is the other one?
Grants.
Grants.
Yeah, we'll have a committee list made up for everybody, but we didn't want to do it before we had confirmation of everybody's place on the list. So, right now we have on audit, Casey and Denise, building and grounds, Charlie and Hormoz. Bylaws is Charlie, Annmarie, Terry, and Jack. Finance, oh, you don't have to write all that down.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh,
You know what, you should make a little, there's a chart that we had that you could just plug in the new pieces. Okay. So then she'd give her the chart, then it's easier for her to attach it, she doesn't need to write it.
Thank you.
Grants is Denise and Hormoz. Library operating is Annmarie and Jack and Donna. Long range planning is Charlie, Barbara, and Donna. And we're going to give you a nice chart.
I know.
It's going to be beautiful. You're going to love it.
I believe you.
Who was
And
finance
public
committee?
relations is Terry, all by her lonesome.
Who was on the finance
Oh, I'm
committee?
sorry, I
think we jumped
did.
over.
Denise is.
No, Diane.
Or Diane, because you're right in the middle there, all by
Yeah.
yourself. Diane is doing fundraising, and she is all by herself too. So maybe she and Terry can get together every once in a while.
I think so, right?
Okay, I apologize.
That's okay, that's okay. I knew I was there, it's okay.
Okay, I'm nominating, Jack, did you have a question?
No, actually, I just wanted to know everybody who's on what committees and stuff.
You're gonna get a list,
Okay.
everybody's gonna get a list.
Everyone will get this to me.
Yeah. So don't stress about it right now.
Just when you get the list and you see your name on it.
Yeah, then you can stress. Okay, nominating, it said in that description I sent out that the nominating committee was responsible for the petitions, which we'll get into later on. But that's not a solo operation by any means. Building and grounds we have to, which is Charlie and Hormoz. We have to vote on the landscaper's contract. Do you want to speak to that, Marilyn, or just is there any?
Well, it's the same contract as last year.
Okay.
Are we
same
okay with
company.
that?
Yep.
This winter, we had somebody that came, there was a little problem with the contractor, and I called him and he didn't come, and Kathy had seen this guy across the street, and he came, and I told him if he wanted to put in a bid for it to be a landscaper, he should do that, but he never did.
Okay.
It's really hard to find landscapers.
Okay.
So which company are we using?
It's, what is it, TMH.
And it's that one person?
Oh, he's got a crew.
Yeah, he's got a crew. That's,
And how often does he mow?
probably every 2 weeks, I would say.
Oh, it depends,
Yeah,
every
it
week,
depends.
when it's
Yeah,
that
it
time.
depends. Yeah.
And does he
Whether-
clean the twigs and all that
He
kind of stuff?
does everything, yeah. He does a nice
Edges.
job.
And what do we
He does
pay
do a
him?
nice job.
I forget when we pay him.
125, I think.
125, yeah, I believe so, yes.
What, 125 a pop?
175.
Yes,
A month?
Okay.
Or
you
a
guys
time
have
at a
each
time?
Time he comes, 125. Because he
So-
does
and he
back
come-
here and he does next door.
And he comes every week or every other week?
Whenever he needs to, it's probably every 2 weeks, unless the grass is really growing, then he would come every week.
Are you guys satisfied with it?
Yes,
Yeah, he's good, he's dependable.
yep.
And you
That's
have
the
a
most
contract,
important
you have,
thing,
there's a
is
contract. There's
Do we have a
contract with
motion?
Yes,
someone.
he signs.
He was not dependable, because for your library yard sale,
Oh, no, he came that morning, and people were already setting up, and the grass
that's what he
was
said,
wet.
yeah,
No, he called me, and he left a
Okay,
message, I
okay.
spoke with him, yeah.
okay.
He, and he did come back after that.
So that was his one pass for the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he
He
came,
made
because I
Joanne
talked to
mad,
him.
and we don't wanna go
I
there.
talked to him earlier in the week, and he had told me, yes, he would be here, and I told him we have a yard sale, and he said, I will definitely be there. And then when I got to work, I noticed, no, he wasn't here.
No.
The grass was wet because it had rained, and he said that threw him off. And by the time he got here, people were already setting up, so he could not do it.
Okay, can we have a motion?
Nevertheless, I move that we accept.
Yeah, really?
Thank you. We have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. Okay, the disaster plan, everybody was forwarded the disaster plan. Apparently, it's been well vetted.
We only got the first, I thought there was a part 2.
There were 2 pages, that was it. There
That was
no
part
big
2?
deal. That's it.
I
No
thought
big
you
deal.
said it was too big of,
It was too big of a file.
So only
Alex
2
broke it
pages?
down into 10.
You printed it
Alex
out?
broke it down.
This is it right
And then I
no,
said-
but we got like 50 or 60 pages the first time. But there
It
was,
may have broken it down.
but then you sent
computer
2
broke it
pages,
down.
no, you won't, the only thing I got after was that you sent 2 pages today. That you said the first 2 pages you redid or
I'll
something.
resend to you, because I don't think everybody did receive
I
part
didn't
2,
receive
and
the
I don't
part
know why.
2.
I didn't get part 2 either.
Okay, I don't know why.
And there were a
It
bunch
went.
of pages
Sure I got part 2.
according to the way they're physically numbered.
They're
There's
empty.
a number of pages missing.
They're empty, they're not being used. So I can put on there, page 4 reserved, or,
So we
blank
have to table this till the next
Intentionally
meeting.
blank, yeah.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see the whole thing.
Can we have discussion, do we need to table this since it's been pretty well vetted and we just like to get this off of our minds? It's been worked on for quite a while. I understand that when I looked at it, it was like page 62 to 63 was not there and we had gotten to page 59, so Mary,
There were a couple
were
of
there a
questions I
lot,
had on
excuse
part
me,
1.
I'm sorry Barbara, I'm
sorry.
speaking.
Okay.
I'll rescan the whole thing, because maybe, and I will put in, like, any pages that are missing, I'll put intentionally left blank, so it's not so confusing.
Do we really feel strongly that we need to do this, or do we feel we can move on this? If you've got a
We have
good
to do
feeling
this.
for the plan as it is, that we could vote to approve this plan and you get the scanned copies afterwards.
What's entailed if you change the plan? Can you change it at some point down the line, or is it
Sure.
updated?
It's a
That's
very
not-
big
It
plan.
has to be updated.
has
Oh, it's a
to
big
be.
document,
I
I
know.
know.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge document.
Yeah.
Reviewed yearly.
And as long as it's easy enough to adjust it and change it going forward, I think it behooves us
But
to
we
have it
should
in
really
place.
but we really should see the part 2, because even from part 1, there are some questions.
But we've been looking at this for a long time. Can you tell us what part 2 looks like, or can you bring it in so we
Yeah, I'll
can?
go get it.
On part 1, I had
look.
a couple, can I tell you my questions on part 1?
Sure.
On page 40, it says responsibilities for collections, disaster response and recovery, and it said at least one person and alternate for each responsibility, and there's just like one person for each responsibility. There's no alternate.
It's the department head, so then it would be the
'Cause it's
next
not
person in
listed.
line.
And then,
in
is there a
reference.
plan for drills of each of those type of things? Because when God forbid
Yeah,
something
we have
happens in
drills.
reality,
Yeah.
you can't just go to the book and try to find what section it's in to do it. We'd have to really, I think, have drills.
We've had fire drills.
But some of these drills are scary, like
Yeah.
if
Mass
there's
casualty drills
And
and shooting drills.
evacuation plan, who leads
That
the
was all,
evacuation?
I saw
And
that.
are they posted? Are those maps with the little
Chain
arrows?
of command.
You know
Yeah.
the map with the
Yes.
arrow, is it posted in the
Yes.
library?
Yes.
Where?
When you, on the walls.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I see one.
Each side.
Because the
Those maps were
patrons
included
are
in
not
part 2, weren't
aware of these exits in the
I
back,
don't know
they
how
only
it
know
broke down.
one
I
exit.
Well,
No, just
that's
'cause I
why
remember seeing them.
it says
So-
specifically in the plan that the people on the staff are supposed to lead the patrons to the exits.
There's a chain of command.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
but
makes sense.
remember, not everybody's here every day.
I have
Well, no.
everybody's schedule in there too.
Okay.
Yeah, I included, the updated schedule for every employee when they're in the building. So that, in an emergency and we were missing somebody, we would know who to look for in the building.
Yes, that's in the plan too, that you're
Yeah.
not supposed to leave unless everybody is there.
Yeah.
Did you read the plan, Barbara?
I read part one.
Oh, well, I read everything that was there and it was all in there, so.
Well, I didn't see those things, that's why I asked.
So what is the pleasure of the board? Do you feel comfortable with passing this tonight, not having seen the last couple of pages, which from what I saw was only pictures of machinery and
Yeah, that's
closets
what I
anyway,
was.
so.
We got
Or-
bunches of machinery in closets,
That
we're
was
in the
part two.
first part.
Yeah.
It said part one. We got that.
Especially since we can change it if we need to.
Right.
If someone reviews it again and says, this is really serious, we really need to change this, then we can have a
But it
motion
is-
to change it, but I think it's important to put it in place.
I think, I
would
agree
agree
with
with
you,
that.
could,
So make a motion.
I make a motion to put this plan in place, we can change it on down the line if we need to.
I second.
okay, all those in favor? Any opposition? Opposed?
I'll abstain.
Okay, excuse me Denise, how are you
Voting yes or
voting?
abstaining or voting no? I
The
abstain.
disaster plan.
I'm voting, I just wanna see the, I'm gonna abstain, I just wanna see the
Okay,
whole
so
thing,
two
but yeah.
abstentions, and that, how many, it
I'll send
passes.
it out tomorrow.
Yeah,
It's
I just wanna
approved.
give it a really good,
Okay, yeah.
eyeball.
Okay,
I appreciate it.
bylaws, Charlie, we need a meeting and.
Yes, I have to have a meeting, and what I'm targeting right now is either the first Wednesday or the first Thursday, depending on what availability is here in the library, in the evening at 7:30. So I will schedule that and let the people on the committee know.
Okay. And let me know too, because I want to be there.
Yep,
Am I on that committee?
You
I
are
never
on
go to the
bylaws,
But am I-
yes. Bylaws
I'm
is
never
Anne
available on
Marie,
a Wednesday.
Terry,
so then it
and
looks like it's gonna be
Jack.
Thursday then.
Thursday's better for me too.
I'm thinking Thursday is probably gonna be it then.
Okay,
I'm good for Thursday.
Okay?
not this Thursday though.
No,
not this
no, the
First
first
Thursday.
Thursday of every month.
Okay, all right.
Good.
All right, that was nice and easy. Finance, are we on to finance?
I believe we are.
Okay. We need a vote on, Marilyn, you want to explain the issues so that people are aware of
Right, there
why
is,
you're asking?
right now, there's, you need 2 signatures on anything that's 2,500 and over. We're asking that that be brought up to 3,500. Most places are actually 5,000. We have a health insurance bill that's over $3,000, and it's a lot of work for people to, you can ask the people who have to do it before, be coming in all the time, and if you can, there's certain bills that are paid all the time that are gonna require a signature that you could really eliminate if you just went up to 3,500. And I don't think that's excessive, not in
The
my
intent of a
experience.
control like this isn't for normal recurring payments, it is more geared towards the
The process
one-off.
that was
It
set
was fine
into
to-
action was all the regular recurring payments do not need, just go ahead and pay.
Yes, but you
Right.
still needed the 2 signatures over 2,500 no matter what. And I don't see a problem personally with going up, especially since most libraries have 5,000.
Can we have a
We
motion
used to have
on that?
5,000, we brought it down
That's
for a
right, we
reason,
used to do.
and I forgot what the reason was.
I motion to increase it to 3,500.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? You're opposed? Okay, any abstentions? Hormoz opposes? All right, and the budget. Now, before we vote,
I second, yes.
before we vote on the budget, we first have to vote on the tax cap. And do you need me to read this statement again, or do you? No.
No.
Okay, so can we have a motion to raise the tax cap, is that the?
Override the tax
Override
cap.
the tax cap.
I'll make a motion.
Casey makes a motion, a
I
second.
second it.
Donna seconds, all in
Donna, you're on
favor?
fire.
We are.
Control the grove.
Okay. Jack, how are you voting?
Sorry.
I like seeing things.
Okay.
I know, right?
Hormoz,
Abstain.
he's abstaining,
I'm the
okay.
taxpayer.
I understand why we're doing it though.
Yes.
Yeah, be
And
dangerous
it's
not
in
to
line
do
with
it.
Robert's
Okay.
recommendation, that all
Yeah.
libraries do it, I think it's normal course.
So would you like to speak to the budget now, the 2018 budget, and
Well, again, as I had said in the treasurer's report before, I had gone over most of the budget and the rationale behind it with Marilyn. I'm pretty confident with where it stands right now. It's a conservative approach. I think that the biggest drivers, from a flux comparison year over year of what's driving the budget up for this 45,000 increase has a lot to do with personnel expenses. Payroll taxes were the highest drivers. Other drivers were more centered around additional programming that we're going to be offering. Around audiovisual was another driver of, I believe it was a few $1,000s there as well. It was $5,000. So if you're looking at the 45,000 increase, 5,000 of it is directly tied to future programming that we're already.
And 2,000 of it is books.
Exactly. So, a lot of this is really centered around what we're going to provide, and I don't think that, any of this is egregious or outlandish or, anything of that sort.
Are we gonna be able to have copies to review it before
Well,
anybody asks us to vote on it?
Yes, I do have them. When I talked to Casey today, we're kind of in a time crunch because we need all those signatures on petitions. And so what we're just asking for is the board to conceptually agree to $45,000 increase. I did print out.
I prefer to see, because
Well,
I know there was a
actually, you
mix-up
did get
last
it.
year and it was all.
You did get it. All those who were previously on the board did get all of this, and with your names on it. I
don't
did
have
them
it.
again, so you have another
Okay,
copy.
thank you.
So if you wanted to, I don't know, find your name on there and pass it around. What it is the income, the expenses, and the budget narrative that I provided a while back to the older board.
I don't think the board got it, it might just have been the treasurer.
I thought we had a meeting with more than
We
just
didn't have a
that.
meeting, Marilyn, we didn't meet since November.
No, but
Barbara, this is a new board and a new way
I
of
know,
doing things.
that's fine, but we all have to
So-
see it. It says
We
it's
have
something out.
What we are asking
Your name's on the
for
top.
is approval of a dollar amount.
Right,
Which will be allocated afterwards.
correct.
Also, I do want to point out that as you're looking at this on the, and Marilyn, please keep me honest by all means.
Sure.
If you scroll down on the 2018 budget for line
You want
4080
income or
related to grants,
Income?
on income.
Yes,
On
yes,
income, for GL 4080 for grants.
right.
You're seeing that there's a drop off of 42,000 to 15,000. I think that's because of our eligibility or it was, excuse me?
But now we're getting 50.
Right, that's what I was just gonna say is,
That's what I did this
hopefully we do
new.
collect on it this year.
Right. Yes.
But this budget right now, which is a proposed increase of 45,000, is not including the 50,000 that we're
Right.
potentially getting this year.
So it's almost a wash.
Exactly, so again, even as that relates back to the tax cap, we may not need to exceed it. But, obviously we wanted to take a more conservative approach until we have that money in hand.
Also, you have to remember that over the past 3 years, 2 years ago, we passed a $30,000 budget, but 10 went to legal bills, so that left us with 20. Last year, we didn't go at all, so that left us with 0. Now this year, at 45, if you take the 45 and the 20, you're talking about 65,000. Over 3 years, you're talking a little over a $20,000 increase over a 3-year period. Things go up, the cost of living goes up, the price of a book goes up. We're supposed to be serving this public, we need to keep up with it, and we're not going to keep up with it. So this is a conservative number. I'm not going to put a crazy number out there, I want it to pass.
And I'll tell you, even for that being said, other items, other expenses, which is usually a burying ground for, excess spending and things like that, is completely static since 2016. It's year over year over year, it seems like we're taking a conservative approach with our expenses and only increasing where it was necessary. Professional fees being another one of them. In 2016, we were at 6,000. That was reduced to 3,000, and now coming back up to 5,000. And that's because of yearly or biannual requirements. So, you need to allocate additional expenses for that. So again, I think what stayed static, and what needed flux was conservatively adjusted. I don't think any of this is outlandish.
You mentioned earlier that programming, but you didn't increase any programming.
Audiovisual, when you look at expenses, the audiovisual expense of 5,000, I believe.
You brought up 5,000, no, I thought you were bringing up the teen programming and the children's programming.
No, books increased by 2,000, audiovisual increased by 5,000. There was a conservative increase for insurance, which I think is normal. Library supplies went up by 3,000. equipment by 2,000, but again, that's gonna, you know, help administer,
Right.
the existing programs as well as benefit.
Cost of doing business.
Exactly. And even to that note, the cost of doing business, I believe it was, supplies expense only is, increasing moderately. You know, so, I think this is a solid proposal.
Okay. Can we have a motion to approve this year's budget allocation of $45,000?
I move that we approve.
Terry moves. Second. Casey seconds. All those in favor? Okay. Any opposition? Hormoz opposes. Barbara, how did you vote? I couldn't
I
see.
voted yes.
Yes, okay.
Because but I would like to just adjust that, or what he said, that you might move a line here and there, it's just the
Well,
total
a budget
figure
is
that you're
always the
doing.
best guess, you're always gonna
Right.
be moving lines.
Correct. And that's the other thing, is that when you're looking at a budget, you're saying your overall, but.
Right, I know, but you might move this to line three.
Exactly, yep. And I think that's normal, especially.
So no higher than 45,000.
Correct.
Well, that's the increase we're proposing, and we'll get those petitions out.
Right.
Terrific.
Get
Now,
that up tomorrow.
Let me talk about those petitions for the new people who are on the board. This seems like an onerous thing. I've done it in the past, and if you're not comfortable going out and speaking to people, then buddy up with another board member. But it's a wonderful opportunity to advocate for the library. I used to do it when I was walking the ponds, and I'd just bring a clipboard and I put a sign on that said I was a library board member. And I got into some good conversations with people, and sometimes they were angry with the library, and you could discuss the situation, especially when KJ was still a part of the service plan. And I could explain to people what the circumstances were. I found it a terrific opportunity to meet people in the community, to advocate for the library, and to help get the budget up for a vote. So usually we ask people to get at least 25 signatures. If you can do more, that's great. The library staff gets them at the desk. It used to be a lot more, now we only have to get 600, is it?
I'll have to look, I'll have to make sure of that, because I'm not sure where the governor's, I just want to make doubly sure. But yes, it shouldn't be too onerous, and I will give you with it a sheet that says, for instance, you can't sign your own petition. You can't use red ink, you can't put it in pencil. You have to make sure the person lives and is a taxpayer in the town of Monroe.
Yeah.
It tells you all those things, so when I give you that sheet, please read it, because otherwise I'm gonna have to kick out a lot of stuff.
Right. So I would usually say, hi, I'm a member of the board, are you a member of the community?
Right.
If you are, would you please sign? So, yeah.
Most people do.
Yeah, most people do, every once in a while.
And you
get
know what,
some
they're
no.
not saying yes or no at the polls, remember?
Right.
They're just
saying it's
voting on the
okay.
right,
Yes,
the democratic right to vote on a budget.
And that's
And then
a
they
very,
can vote yes or no.
That's right,
yeah,
that's up to them.
that's
That
a very
doesn't work
important
still.
point, yeah.
If you're not gonna sign this, you're taking a book out of a child's hand. Is that
I like that, I like that.
you wouldn't want that, would you? Of course not.
You were a Jewish grandmother, another
That's exactly right.
But you know, the other thing is you have to ask them if they are registered to vote.
Registered to vote, yeah, it's all on that sheet, so
Yeah.
please just read that sheet.
And that's a killer, especially for me, when I have a woman who says, no, I'm not registered, and I wanna go, you're not registered. Susan B. Anthony spent her whole life trying to get you the vote, and you're not
So
registered?
you tell them to go to the library and get the registration
Yeah.
forms, which we
It's like,
have
follow me,
here.
we're going to the library.
Maybe we
We
should
have
have
to make
some
sure
of the cards with us.
You'll
and
see
go-
your taxes at work.
Yes, I've done that,
Yeah.
I've done that. All right, moving right along, fundraising, you're on, Diane.
Can I just add something in the finance? For the 401K plan, I need a new trustee to sign on as an officer. I don't have the blank forms, but does anybody here? I think it comes under finance.
You know, it used to be Charlie LeViseur when he was on the board.
Yes, it was, I
remember.
I don't know if we're gonna get Charlie.
Want a reprise?
I'm sure put my name on
I think I
there.
only have to see once
Only-
in the year to sign
Only,
off on something.
only if you give me one of those
that's
little
it.
key fob things so that I don't have to knock on the door.
You'll sign
Yeah,
off.
fair enough.
I think
my-
you have a
my-
deal.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's
It
fine.
needs to be reset, because it's not
Done.
working.
All right, you're on.
Fundraising. If anybody has any ideas, I'm more than willing to listen to them. I did speak with Tyler, who is at Java Joe's, and he is very interested in doing things with the community. He's been having he's having an open mic night, he has had some singers up there, and we went in for coffee the other day, and I'm sorry?
Trivia nights.
Oh, yes. And so when I talked to him and I said I'm with the library, whatever, he's very interested in doing something with us. So whether we do it as a fundraiser or as a fundraiser, obviously our goal is fundraising, but you know, just to get maybe the first time, either we do something there so that it benefits the library, but he makes some money, or we do something here and he brings food down. But he's very willing. He wants to succeed in Monroe. He wants other businesses to succeed in Monroe. He's very happy with the library. And I don't know if you have been in there, but the one side is all the coffee and Daddy's Donuts and everything. And the other side is his mother and her sister, who own Sonata Jewelry. And a couple of years ago when we had, there you go, the Friends had a yard sale. Joanne wasn't doing it at the time, and we had a yard sale out on the lawn. And they came and had a little table set up and sold jewelry there. So she's familiar with me, and now Tyler is familiar with us, and so he's definitely willing to do something with the library.
Where is this?
To the
Right next
right,
to the-
Used to be my grandfather's or grandmother's
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
right next to the
Right next to the
theater.
theater.
Oh,
Okay, I
the
thought
first
Yeah.
It's
you
that
had
white
was
building on the
in
side there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
The
Yeah, they-
original cheese factory.
No,
Yes.
the other side,
Yeah.
if you go right, you're facing the Monroe Theater, it's right after the Monroe Theater,
Yeah.
there's like a parking
On the right
lot,
there.
you
Right.
walk
Used
up
to be
and
a
walk up upstairs.
If
Yeah.
you haven't been there,
Yeah.
honestly, they did a great job
Oh,
transforming.
they did.
It's
They
upstairs.
did a really nice
Great
job
job.
of remodeling the place,
Yeah.
and
It's
it,
cute. And they have
like
good
some,
coffee.
you said,
Yeah, they
it
did.
used to be the original cheese factory.
Right,
Yes.
So-
One thing that we might wanna consider also, just outside of programming, that it would be a very low lift for us, and I think it would be a great opportunity to start that partnership. He's doing a little library over at his place.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
I have a little library already made. I haven't just talked about it with you for a while because it was two little Boy Scouts were doing their woodworking badge, and they did a little library. I just heard that it's done, and they wanted to put it on the front lawn of this next door. I said, no, we don't need a little library there.
Part of the library,
But as
right?
soon as I get the little library, we'll talk about where to put it, but it is made, it's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that
And
might
that-
be a good
and if-
opportunity
if-
to create a reading
Because,
environment there.
yeah, because
right.
people go in there, they take their coffee, they Wi-Fi, but maybe somebody would like to go in and take a book and sit and read or something.
So then,
It could just
maybe
drive
I'll go in
traffic
there.
without anyone having to
Yeah,
administrate
yeah.
programming.
You know Wendy Seringer? Anybody know Wendy Seringer?
I kind of.
It's her son and her
Oh,
friend.
okay. Okay.
Wendy Seringer, it's her son and his friend with the woodworking badge Boy Scouts. Making a little library.
The other thing is that I've always wanted to do, whether president of the Friends or whatever, was to have a jazz under the stars. I really want to do that. It never really worked, but I would love to have something out on the front lawn of the book garden. My son's piano teacher is a world famous jazz pianist. He was here for the grand opening. He played in the corner by himself.
Yes.
But he is in a trio. He's by
Is that
himself.
who-
His wife.
Is that the one you had doing?
Yeah,
what-
Joe
They were
Trenchino.
very good.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he's
You had an
amazing.
indoor thing.
We had an
here.
indoor thing a
was
while ago,
very
yes,
nice.
and
Yeah.
he's,
A couple of years ago.
But
he's
yeah, and that was
phenomenal.
Josh's drum teacher. That was when Bill did it as a trio.
Yes.
Josh's piano
Is it a different
teacher
group?
is a different.
This is an even
yeah.
different group,
But
and
it's
But the
just
other group was good.
yeah,
Same
and maybe
caliber.
Joe will play with Bill. I don't know. They don't know
That
each other,
could
but
be
it's
fun too, yeah.
it's something. Or Josh can sit in with Joe. I don't know, but you know that would be something where we would pre-sell tickets and you know tell people. I guess we'd have to talk to the village and see if people could bring their own wine and picnic and just sit outside and listen to jazz under the stars. I mean that's just something that I think you know people would come to.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. So those are two ideas that are working right now.
But to dovetail that though, Joe, or I mean, Joe's Java Bar, whatever the heck it is, Java Joe's.
Java Joe's.
Tyler was talking about that because he owns the land there. He's already talked to the town. He can have an outdoor venue where we could co-sponsor with him, and that way our
We wouldn't
name's
have to
in
worry
it,
about that.
and then he doesn't have to worry about the wine and beer and all that stuff.
Right.
Was he gonna do alcohol?
He's talking about doing that, yes.
Oh, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, because if it is on his property as opposed to town property, then
Then
would
he
come down
doesn't-
to whether
Yeah.
or not he has
No,
a
he
license.
he basically just has it right there on his lot.
And well, years ago when we used to do the wine tasting here, you know,
We had
that,
wine-
That
we had to
special
get
thing
Yeah.
that you had to
Oh,
get
yeah.
it.
That was
Alcohol
very,
permit.
Some
Provisional
certain kind of
alcohol permit.
insurance also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
insurance.
and that was so hard, oh my gosh,
It was
to get
difficult,
the
yeah.
paperwork
It
from
was fun,
Albany was,
but it was
right,
a lot.
it took months and months just
If
to
you
get a
got
signature.
somebody like Palea, can't they bring their license as a temporary location if you?
But we also need, if we're having wine on these premises, we need to fill out a certain
Yeah,
form
sure.
at the state
Yes.
that allows us to do that.
When you say the property at Java Joe's, are you talking about the parking, like the
The
pavement?
parking lot, yes, that
Yeah, I
pavement,
don't
all
know-
of that stuff there, all the way down to the street is his.
Yeah, because he did say, but it's on a hill,
It's
so
a hill,
I don't
yeah.
know how he would work it out, but he's.
It makes
he
it
was
easy,
talking-
you just roll the drunks right down.
Into the pond.
Slip and slide them right in the ring.
Hope their car's there.
Good ideas.
Exactly right.
All right?
Yep.
Grants, we talked about the fact that Marilyn sent out information about the state grants coming out. And she and I were talking before, you have to have a proposal in by when?
Just a general proposal with a general number by May 22nd.
May
It's a
22nd.
little quick.
So,
No specifics, just they want to know who's interested.
so,
2 weeks.
Is there an application for that?
There will be. of
I'm
course,
leaving for
yes.
Italy.
Like this deck. Well, it's okay. No.
You don't have to do it in Italian though.
The application might be due in August. And we've done this before, and we've done 3 grants before.
I know, but you just said May.
No, May 22nd, we have to just tell them of our
the
intent.
Okay.
Just our intent,
So I need to
a
do
general
that this
idea
week.
of the project, and a general idea of what the cost might be. Like, we know it's not gonna be $1 million, that would be,
Been there, done that.
right. We were thinking, I know that we wanna ultimately do something with the building next door, but that might be for the year after. This one might be for something outside, maybe decking that the children could go out on, because it has to be something that will benefit the community. Can't just be,
for programming or something,
right,
that's what Robert
right.
said before.
and we've talked a lot about the fact that the programming for the children outside is really hard to come, it's really hard. And I could probably come up with, Joy Hyman's husband makes decks. We could probably get at least some kind of a
Like a
generalized
track stack,
figure
Yeah.
to hand them and say, we wanna put a deck out there with some fencing and it'll be around
Some
this.
plantings,
You
make
would
it
have to worry about
attractive.
that.
Have a
Put a
concert
flag
up
pole.
there.
What'd you
Sunday
say?
afternoon concert. Sunday afternoon concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, we level out the, it
Is
would
that
level
the
out the
back
backyard.
where it was that hole?
There's the whole,
So
maybe
do we have to
there
have it
might be a
leveled?
grate there. You
It
wouldn't-
needs to be leveled or
It's
no?
kind of level, but it has to go down because of the
To
drain.
drain.
The drain. But you probably could do a decking that went just a little down and that would drain into that
I
drain.
wouldn't think you would even have to do that, if you built a deck over it,
Straight,
the
and
rain
you-
is
and you
gonna
make
go
straight
through.
sticks to go
And it
over.
would, the deck would
But
level
whoever
off.
would do the deck would know what they had to do
Yeah.
when you're talking about professionals. So
So,
if you want to go for that idea, I think that would be reachable, easy to just send in by May 22nd. I would do that. Denise, you wouldn't have to worry about it. I'd get the prices. I'd talk to you naturally, but.
You get the credit.
I don't need the credit.
I think it's
You
just
either
money
get
on
the
the table, so they
information
walk away
There's a
from it.
lot
Yeah.
of stuff around here.
so are we agreeable to that as a plan for now?
Absolutely.
Because to try and do anything with the building next door, we need to think about that probably the day after we get this all going.
Yeah.
And that would be building some grounds and
That's a big
library.
project.
Yeah, that's a big project.
I think that needs to be a joint meeting between
Yeah.
those two committees to
Right.
be able to have that discussion.
Just,
But it needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think we should pull the community in too.
Oh,
I think we should send a survey out to the community, do something like that, ask the community what they would like to see done with that building. I don't know if other,
The long-range plan has that, and everybody wanted something done with that building.
everybody did.
Everybody.
Did they have ideas or?
Children's libraries, it's all in the long-range
In your
plan.
Right, I
long-range
read
plan.
it.
It's in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
children's
community
library,
space.
a community
Yeah.
space.
Okay.
A bookstore.
Yeah, they want everything.
Yeah.
While we have the
But,
opportunity to throw out whatever idea we have with a generalized dollar figure behind it, should we use this as a launch point to start trying to incorporate some of that
Yeah.
for the new building? You know,
I think
let's
that
not
might be
necessarily.
next year's
Next year,
project,
next project.
because there's so
Okay.
many things that are,
What's go wrong with this?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know
And
whether
that's
we
a
ever
bigger
had.
bite,
There's,
Did we
yeah.
ever get an estimate from Balfour or anyone else on what the remediation costs?
we had
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah.
it's in my, I think it's in my office.
Does it exceed the limitations of this grant? Because again,
There's no limitations to the grant. When we did a grant for this project, we got $236,000.
I just mean it in the sense of if we don't have to put it off for a year and we can get our hands on the money sooner, we might wanna think about it.
Yeah.
It's just I have to have something by May 22nd, and I think that you have too big of a
Yeah.
That
run.
has to be really thought through.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You don't want to just.
Okay.
It's a great idea, but I think you
I
need
think
a
we-
little
I
more
just didn't know
time.
whether
Yeah.
the estimate of what it would
And
cost
I
to
think you
remediate
can
would be a
be
baseline
in
for
your
what the overall
project.
cost
We'd
would
have
be.
to have a lot of stuff to go into it, and it
But I
has to
can
be
think
in
you can
like
be in
on
your
August, I
project
think,
and then
with
ask for the
very
money.
specific.
Okay.
But
Up front, it's simple, but along the line,
Well,
you
but
gotta be very specific.
to kind of tag what he's talking about though, razzing that building and leveling it with the remediation, you have to understand something. The only place that they originally found asbestos in there is two places.
Right.
The window panes and the tile that's in the one area that used to be the x-ray room. That's it. That's it. So you're not talking about an
Yeah.
inordinate amount of asbestos that's in that building. There just
Oh,
really
that's
isn't a
good.
lot there. So you might talk about doing the razzing the building and taking care of that and saying, let's get some estimates on that. You could easily get 3
Do that.
estimates on
Do
that, I
that.
would imagine.
And you can be
Could do that.
specific in your proposal that that's what you're intending to do in order to support future initiatives.
Correct.
But right now, there's money on the table to be had for things that need to get done. You know, let's take the opportunity while we
Robert
have it.
Upshur has made it clear to the prior board that remediation and demolition are not the purposes of the DLD grants. It has to just be construction for a community benefit as opposed
Yeah.
to,
Even if the
As opposed to-
remediation and destruction is in support
It
of
should
the.
immediately have to follow up if it is not combined.
I'm gonna call
as a
Steve
serious
tomorrow.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're
I'll
saying.
tell
Not
Because
consider
you'd
that
be
way.
getting A with the
Yeah.
understanding that B is to take.
That
Isn't
B
there
is
getting
the
a
following.
class on it?
There's,
You
well, you
said
do
there's
go
a
to,
tool.
yeah, you do every year have to go, it's in August. But I know there is some kind of large time frame. Let me call tomorrow and get that large time frame, because sometimes you can start the project and do, I forget how it goes right now off the
It
top
could
of
be
my
a phased
head.
project though.
But it could be a finished project, but you
Yeah.
have to have it done, so let me get the
I just wanna
time,
make sure we're
timing
not throwing the
right.
baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Right.
Agreed.
We'd always have another opportunity next year.
Sometimes if you
So-
can do, you can get 2 grants out of a project.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Why put off for
Oh.
tomorrow what we can get paid for today?
Yeah, right. So
do the work
let's
tomorrow.
be clear,
Exactly. Well, obviously.
let's be clear about what we're doing now. We're going to, I have to do this, I'm trying to get you guys
No,
out.
I
No,
know.
it's fine.
You gotta separate us, I think.
We're gonna do that next time.
Yep.
I tried to sit on that side.
So,
No.
to be clear about what we're doing with the grant, we're going to investigate the deck or something for the yard here. And also we're going to see about whether we can use any of the money for raising the building
Right, I'm
or
gonna call about that.
maybe as the idea that we're going to knock it all down
Why
and
would you
start
have to
over.
demo, why do you have to demo that building?
Because, well, unless you're planning on rebuilding that entire building from scratch, which I would highly recommend because there's a lot of mold in there and mildew. It's horrible.
It's gone too far. It's
When-
just
when
gone
the-
too far.
Yeah, when
just gone
the
off the
dentist
deep end.
left,
It's really
they
bad.
basically took out all of the running water. So there is no running water in that building, and to put it all back in, you're talking about literally just knocking everything down
And
and
the
starting
roof
all over.
is kind of going in,
It
and one of
is.
the one of the rooms, the roof is all caved and the
Oh,
water
boy.
comes in, and it's not a good
Yeah.
situation. The brickwork
Okay.
is going.
It's seen a
We're
better day.
knocking it
You wanna know
down.
what? If you voted tonight to go ahead with a project, we could be specific in emails as to what that project is. And I'll find that out from Steve, because I'll ask these questions and I'll let you know what he had to say and timeframes and things like that.
Okay.
Maybe we do need to have a meeting of those two committees sooner rather than later, like, if not this week, next.
Well,
Does this have to
if
be
it has-
decided on in a public meeting? Let me just back that up, because even if the
Well, no,
committee
no, no.
meets in the next
Well,
2
no,
weeks-
agreed, but what I'm saying though is that we would have that meeting to discuss that, and then if we needed to call an emergency meeting for the public to be able to then vote on it, so be it. But that would be the goal, is to have like an hour-long meeting to say, what are we talking about project-wise, what would this entail, and do we have what we need right now to be able to at least start with demoing that building and flattening it and saying, okay, now we have open property that we can now put a building on.
I
Okay,
think
so
we had
let me,
estimates on that in the past, am I
Right,
correct?
so at the very
Just
least,
remember, we have a lot of
Yeah.
stuff in there, so whatever you do, we'd have to get a storage unit and store stuff.
Agreed,
Okay.
agreed, but you did that in the past anyway.
We did.
is the stuff that's in there being
Absolutely.
protected from this mold and everything else?
Well, we took everything out of that corner of that room and we put, and we do have another corner room that has all of our, what would you call it, sensitive material?
Yeah.
And that's locked.
Personal
But
finance,
before
personnel,
that, we did
financial,
lose some
blah, blah.
sensitive material.
Well, but how much of that is being impacted by the mold?
Right.
I
Because
don't
there
think,
is
well,
mold growth there.
Well, we did have a study done, and they said there was no more mold in there than there was out in the air. Mold is not really a big problem.
It smells
It's
bad.
just, it smells badly, but the building itself is just deteriorating, and I think your instinct is correct, that it just needs, it would take too much money to get it back to usable, workable.
all right,
Was there
back
a
on-
leak underneath that building, like an oil leak? Wasn't there something?
That was
that you
That
had
was
to
remediated.
remediate? Oh, it's done.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure
there's
that we-
residual, very minor residual contamination under the
Under
the slab.
And that could
So
actually
that'll
be
all
addressed
come
with any
Yeah,
kind of
you'd
new
have to
building
have
or,
to raise
yeah,
it
any of
all
that
out.
stuff, yes.
okay,
Alrighty.
let's be clear again. We're going to go for something in the backyard.
Yep.
And we're going to look into whether we can get funding to raise the whole Megillah.
Yes.
And I'm gonna
Okay.
call Steve Hofer tomorrow, get all that information and send it to the board,
Okay, great.
okay?
And if
all
we need
right.
to, we can always come back. to the table.
We have the conflict of interest statement to vote on under library operating. And everybody got that, that was recommended by RCLS, so, that should be fine.
So that
Yeah.
takes over for the one that we used to have.
The current
Yes.
one that we have.
I have a question, and I don't know if it's considered a conflict of interest, because I always had an uncomfortable feeling. There's this, and we only found out about it, I think last year or the year before. There's a staff member whose spouse controls the insurance policies.
You've known about that for at
We
least
found out, no, it's
years.
more like 2 or 3 years. when
And
we
she
got that.
always
And
puts it on
she's-
her conflict of interest form.
But is that really a comfort level to the rest of everybody? And also, doesn't she also have a travel agency, or she doesn't?
No,
With
she
the
does
trips,
not have a
you
travel
pay
agency.
another travel agent with the trips. Like when you go on the
When
trips.
we have a trip, we use, well, I don't know what it's called now, it used to be called Cruise Holidays, and now it's called something else.
But it's a real travel agent,
It's a real
not, and
travel
she,
agent,
and
yes.
she has
Harold-
no, say,
No.
thing. Okay. But I
So,
think
can
I'm
we
still
have a-
uncomfortable with the insurance policy.
So, can we have a motion to, pass the conflict of interest statement? Who's making the motion?
motion.
Casey makes the motion, do we have a second? Hormoz, second? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Beautiful. Okay.
Did you all get a copy of it?
Yes.
Okay, so then if
Yes.
you could, now that it's passed, if
Yeah,
you
we
could
need
fill
to
out
fill
that
it
last
out.
sheet and make sure I get
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I'm gonna fax it
Do we
to
need,
you because I
do
left
we need
it.
one
I'll
copy
sign
for
it before.
everyone, or we all
One
need to
copy
get
for everybody's fine, and I'll keep that on file.
Here you go.
Can I sign yours?
Okay.
Wait, Charlie, pass it back to Casey.
What, pass what back?
This.
Everybody can sign
No,
that?
everybody has their
it's
own
their own.
individual.
Oh, sign, oh.
What can I say, man?
I just asked the
Come on, I
question.
know you for like a month.
I think there might be
ready
a
to make the
conflict of interest
independent, come on.
between
There may be.
between.
All right, Listen up. Public relations.
Well, in the interest of it being 10 o'clock and ending early, all I want to say tonight is that I'm happy to serve as public relations chairperson. And I would like
Happy to have you.
to get together with Alex.
Yes.
And, kind of exchange ideas and see
Yes, I think that would
how
be
I can
great.
help you. And in the future, I'd also like to start thinking about and researching public relations policies for boards.
Okay.
So I'll be looking at all of that. If
Oh,
anybody
that's
has
great.
any ideas on that, I'd love to hear from you.
You know, at the top here, I have the Library Trustees Organization. I have the URL for it. There's lots of information there for library trustees, and that's a good place to start for policy statements.
Okay.
It's also a good place would be the New York Library Association, and also RCLS would probably have a policy, as well as other libraries. Okay.
So I'll report back next month.
All right, great.
Wonderful. Great.
Okay, long-range planning, we have to vote on the 5-year plan. Everybody got a copy of that?
Yeah.
Can we have a motion to approve the 5-year plan?
I make a motion to approve the 5-year plan.
I
Second? All those in favor? Any opposes? Any abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay. Phew! All right, unfinished and ongoing business, what'd you say?
I said hallelujah.
Yeah, yes. No,
You worked
because
on it very
this
hard.
this is, you have to wait, you can't do it now, because there is no public comment.
This isn't public comment.
Well, it is, I'm sorry. New and miscellaneous, anybody have anything?
I just want to let the trustees know on, in Marilyn's office, underneath the other desk, not Marilyn's desk, are all your folders, and you can look there for your information for Marilyn. She puts things in there as every
Well,
day.
various people will put things in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Will we be getting key fobs?
Yes, I already have that on my list, key fobs.
Alex has the key fobs. He just
Alex has to do
program
it, he'll
them.
be back on Wednesday.
Okay.
That's
You
like,
didn't call him?
You should have done it before.
You should have known.
That's why we're giving it a
And if we're on good and welfare,
Yeah.
you already know that Alex got married on Saturday, and that's our good.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
And
yes.
that's all you gave him was 2 days off? Come on.
I don't even know if he took that.
I actually have one other thing for good and welfare, if it helps at all. I just want to applaud Marilyn for the choice to use the proceeds from the yard sale for tablets to teach kids coding. I was just thinking about it when you had mentioned it, and actually my alma mater, which is actually, it's Bentley University, it's a very business-focused school, just estimated that starting salaries in the coding field are roughly 120,000 right now to start.
Let's all go to this class.
Yeah.
Big
I want
data is the
that
next
one.
big thing, and I think that giving
it?
our young ones an opportunity to get,
Oh,
exposed to that at such an early stage, it's something to be commended. So
Great.
I'm
And
just
you
wondering-
might wanna push it with girls too, for
yeah,
STEM.
there's a
Absolutely.
big girls coding thing going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Well,
actually
yeah,
have,
we would have it, girls on,
we have a hackers marathon going on this weekend.
No, I know, but it's important
have
for
a
girls to be paying
marathon.
attention
They
to
bring
that.
kids in and they teach them how to do coding, and then they have them try to hack firewalls and stuff to show them the importance of security.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Change your passwords, everything.
Yeah.
Interestingly
Are you bringing your
enough,
son in? Are you bringing your son in to do that?
No. No, he's involved in so many other things. He'll be hacking my network.
Interestingly enough, I was at I'm on my college's, Lemoyne College Alumni Association Board, and they were telling about programs up there last week, and they have a cybersecurity program they're putting in place with a liberal arts background to it. So they're discussing the ethics and the psychology of hacking. I thought it was fascinating that kind of a program. All right, let's keep going. Good and welfare, open floor discussion. Yes.
I wanted to hand in to Annmarie 2 of the annual committee summaries. one's from bylaws and one's from the executive committee. I also wanted to comment about the Larkin grants use. We had discussed this at the last meeting. When that grant was applied for, it was specifically applied for, and it's in the application itself for circ and reference desks, furniture. It cannot be used for anything other than the purpose for which the grant was applied, and we discussed last month that when this money comes in, it needs to be put into a capital account because it was for the desks that the construction mortgage paid for in advance in anticipation of getting reimbursement for the grant. It cannot be used for operating. And I wanted to also point out that Marilyn had handed out in her in the envelopes last month a annual fund drive report from Alex Carver, and that could be used for the annual summary for the fundraising committee in the annual meeting minutes. And the only other thing that I wanted to point out was that in 2015 there was a $19,847 check that was written out to attorney Richard Gerton that had nothing to do with legal fees. It was the monies in escrow that were held in order for Verticon to complete all of the closeout documentation that the architects wanted, as well as to complete the items on the punch list after the library reopened in March of 2015.
Okay, thank you. Are we all good? Yeah. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the general meeting at 10:10 p.m.
Second.
Next week, next month, we're gonna do better. We're gonna lock off the envelope.
Wait, you didn't vote on it.
Oh, we gotta vote.
Who seconded?
Where's Charlie,
No, it was Casey.
Either one of the groups includes me.